All right, welcome back. It's the Avid Investor Podcast with me, your host, Josh Adamek. And today we're going to talk about I'm going to talk about the quote unquote new ways to invest in real estate. And I want to give you my thoughts, opinions, and some feedback, some opinions on some of these things that ideas and concepts and stuff that are floating around the internet, YouTube, Bigger Pockets, different podcasts, whatever. I just wanted to give you some feedback on how I feel or my thoughts on the quote unquote new ways to invest in real estate. So here goes. First off, I I had the opportunity to sit down last week or the week before, a couple of weeks ago, with a younger guy that's fairly new to the business, and he seems like he's doing pretty well. He's got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of moving pieces, and we get to talk, and he's throwing out all these terms, all these made up words that I just didn't understand. He's talking about wholesaling, novating, I think it was prehabbing, just a bunch of different things that were like, made up words. And he's telling me he's got these deals in the pipeline and things that he's working on. And one of my thoughts and my feedback on how he could structure some things to make it work. So I asked him, I said, tell me about this. Like, I don't even understand what you're talking about. I've never heard of it. I don't know what you're talking about. Tell me how it works. So he starts to tell me that he's going to get a property. He's working in another state. He's got a group of properties or a number of properties. And he says, well, what we're going to do is we go to the seller. They sign a document, a trust document or something like that. Power of attorney, and that gets held in escrow. We control the property, and we come in, we rehab it, we bring our own money in, we rehab it, and then once it's done, we put it on the market, we sell it, and the seller gets paid, and we make our profit. I said, oh, okay, that's a different concept. I've heard of stuff like that before. And I asked him, I said, what happens when something goes wrong? He said, what do you mean? I said, well, if it sounds like what you're getting ready to do, if all the stars align and everything's perfect, it will work. But, what happens if something goes wrong? He says, well, what do you mean? Well, what do you mean if something goes wrong? I said, well, you don't have equitable interest, or you don't own the property. You control, in theory, you control the property, but you don't own the property. What happens if that seller disappears? He says, oh, well, we have the power of attorney or the whatever it was. And I said, okay. I said, what if the title, when you go to sell the property, that you don't get to choose the title company, the buyer does. What if the title company doesn't accept your power of attorney for whatever reason? What if they don't like the way it's worded? What if they don't like the way it's written? What if they don't feel it's the right way for you to have controlled that property? Then you're, the day of closing, 2 days before closing, 3 days before closing, and you're trying to find the seller to, get the proper paperwork. What happens if you go to the seller and he doesn't want to cooperate? What happens if you can't find the seller? What happens if the seller filed bankruptcy while you're in the middle of this rehab? Now, keep in mind, he's talking about spending significant money, significant time, effort, energy, and money on rehabbing this house that he doesn't own. So there's a lot of variables. There's a lot of question marks. If that seller has files bankruptcy, has other debt, has other bad debt, the property gets liened as a result of debt collectors. There's things that are outside of his control as far as like not owning that property, not really controlling the property. I guess, yeah, in theory, you control the property with that trust document, that power of attorney or whatever it is, but there's things that can go wrong. So that was one example. And And, we talked a little bit more, about some different things, some different strategies. I gave him my thoughts and opinions on how he should structure that deal, so that he's properly protected in the event that things go wrong. But, bottom line is what I wanted to really dive into today is, there's so much stuff out there on the internet. I mean, there's so many quote unquote gurus and so many people teaching about real estate and talking about real estate investing and talking about business and entrepreneurship and all this stuff. And and my opinion is that if you're taking advice from someone that, one, hasn't been in the business for at least a decade, 10 years, that hasn't done at least 100 transactions, 100 deals, doesn't have 100 confirmed properties in portfolio, that hasn't been through multiple market cycles. That's the key right there. Market cycles. I've talked about that before on other podcasts, other recordings, where, we're in the top, we're at or near the top of a market cycle right now. As of the last couple of weeks, we've been starting to see a shift over the past month or so, where I wouldn't say we're in a down market or heading into a down market or anything like that. Time will tell, but things have started to level out. The curve has flattened. So if you're in the business and you're taking advice or you're learning from someone that, just started in the business a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and they have this new latest and greatest system, this new way to invest in real estate, be very careful, because in an up market, in a market that's trending upwards, there's a lot of different ways to make money in real estate. I mean, it's there's many ways, many strategies, many ways that you can buy real estate and invest in real estate and be profitable. But does that model stand the test of time? That's the important part. Are you learning from someone? Are you taking advice and getting educated from someone that understands market cycles, that has a proven method, a proven strategy that will work regardless of market conditions? In reality, what it boils down to, and I've talked about this before, is there's three ways to invest in real estate. There's wholesaling, there's retailing, and there's long-term cash flow. Those are the three ways to invest in real estate. And those three different strategies. So sure, there's a bunch of different spin-offs that you can do. Wholesaling, for example, there's a number of ways that you can wholesale real estate. There's many different property types that you can wholesale. And different strategies to go about doing that. But it's wholesaling real estate. When it comes to retailing, same thing. Retailing, also known as rehabbing, flipping, whatever you want to call it. There's many different property types, a number of different ways you can structure deals on the front end, on the back end. But it's selling real estate, retail, flipping, rehabbing, whatever you want to call it. Long-term cash flow. Long-term investing for cash flow. Again, many different property types. There's, residential, commercial, different types of commercial, self-storage, office space, multifamily, residential, there's single family homes, many different types of single family homes, many different, classes of single family homes, but it's investing for the long term. So in reality, I mean, those are the three ways to invest in real estate. It's, up to you to decide what method works best for you. But again, if we go back to market cycles, and market conditions, last several years, we've been trending upwards in an up market. So there's been a lot of people that have come into the business and started in the business. Everybody wants to get in when the market's good, when in reality, the best time to get into real estate is in a down market. But, if you don't understand market cycles and things like that, and you're not set up, or you don't understand, the proper techniques and strategies to invest in real estate in a down market, you can, you can lose. But again, if you're really like hitting home on these new ways to invest in real estate, just be careful where you're getting your advice, who you're getting your advice from, and where you're learning these strategies. And I really want to hammer home on this point. You know, One, whatever you do when you're investing in real estate or running a business, any type of business, you got to make sure you're compliant. Um, you know, Different states have different laws. So if you're learning a strategy from, someone in a different state, and you're going to bring, you buy a course or whatever, you invest in their system, you bring that system to your state, it may not be compliant. It may not meet the local laws and regulations. So, one, before you start your business, before you start investing in real estate, make sure you're compliant, and make sure you have your proper documents in place and your paperwork. Don't buy that course off the internet and just go to work. Make sure you have a real estate attorney that understands contracts and contract law and things like that, and any paperwork that you're going to use as far as agreements, sales agreements, purchase agreements, any sort of contractor agreements, any written agreement that you're going to use in your business. It is very, 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 very important that you have your attorney either one, create those documents, or two, at minimum, review and approve the documents that you're going to use in your business. The old saying is, proper preparation prevents poor performance. So if you're properly prepared to run your business, it's going to prevent poor performance down the line. Because, in reality, what happens, and you see this all the time, is, somebody gets their docs off the internet, goes to LegalZoom or whatever, puts their, creates their business, gets their agreements, or gets them from a friend, or buys them online somewhere, finds them in a course, and then comes back home or wherever, sets up shop and gets to work, and then there's an issue down the line. And then, it's time to scramble and find an attorney, and get some representation. And what happens when you go to your attorney after the fact? The attorney will say, well, these documents are crap. Why didn't you have me prepare them for you? So again, proper preparation prevents poor performance. If before you start your business, before you start investing in real estate, have the proper structure in place as far as your business, have the proper structure in place as far as your documents, and be sure that in the event that you have an issue down the line, the attorney that is going to represent you, or the person that is going to help you with those issues, has already reviewed and approved and or prepared the documents that you're going to use, so that they're familiar with, so that they can, confirm that they're compliant, and two, that they're familiar with the way your business is structured and the documents that you're using, and it will prevent a lot of potential headaches down the line. So, and in reality, when you're in business, when you run a business, regardless of what you do, there's going to be a time where things don't go right, and you have to take care of some things. So again, make sure you're properly prepared, properly set up, and properly protected. So that's my advice, my take on how you should structure your business. And then again, as far as we as far as the different ways to invest in real estate goes, if you're learning about the business, you know, be careful, be careful with all the flashy YouTube videos and, all the social media pop-ups and, the latest and greatest strategies to quote unquote get rich quick. I mean, in reality, this business and many businesses are not a get rich quick business. They require work. They require effort. They require a lot of preparation and a lot of hard work. And can you get to that point where you're in a comfortable spot, where you've built wealth, where you've created a substantial business? Yes, absolutely. But I promise you, there is there is no magic formula. There is no system out there that that you can buy someone's system and implement those strategies, and boom, all of a sudden, you've got this massive portfolio, massive business, piles of money in the bank. I mean, is that possible? Yes, absolutely. But it requires work. It requires time. It requires effort. It requires energy. It requires consistency. You got to be consistent with what you're doing. I talked about that on a previous podcast, consistency. What we do at Avid and Avid Management Group is, it's not cool. It's not flashy. It doesn't look good on social media. But we just buy a bunch of single family homes, just regular houses in regular neighborhoods, grandma's house, but we buy a lot of them, and we have our systems in place. We have our team, and we just do the same thing over and over and over again. And why do we invest in single family homes? One, it creates long-term cash flow. It's consistent. The homes that we buy, the portfolios that we build, they perform, regardless of market conditions. And we have a proper structure in place where it's a win-win. It's beneficial for our investment partners, gives them the ability to own real estate without having to deal with all the day-to-day hassle of management. Gives them the benefits of owning real estate, the cash flow, the consistency, the long-term, the safety and security of, regular houses and regular neighborhoods. So again, that's the model that we stay laser focused on, just buying a bunch of single family homes. I see it. I don't pay attention to, a lot of the new gurus, the new ways to invest in real estate. I happen to hear about them from time to time when I meet with people, when I go to different events and things like that. But in reality, I mean, if you're going to take advice from someone, and I've said this a couple of times already, but if you're going to learn a business, if you're going to learn a model, if you're going to start a company, start investing in real estate, be sure that person that you're taking advice from or you're learning from has the experience from time, has the experience from number of confirmed completed deals, number of properties in portfolio. And again, make sure that, in my opinion, you need to make sure that your business, your model is going to perform regardless of market conditions. Is there money to be made in flipping and rehabbing homes? Yes, absolutely. Is there money to be made in wholesaling real estate? Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's how I started. So that's how I started my business almost 20 years ago. Is there money to be made in long-term investing, for cash flow over the long term? Yes, absolutely. And in my opinion, that's where you're going to create true wealth. That's where you're going to create a real business, real assets with real value, is looking at the long-term investing. Because in reality, real estate wasn't wasn't designed to, be a transactional type of investing. And why do I say that? Because there's cost associated with it. If you look at transactional real estate, I mean, there's almost 10% cost right out of the gate when once you factor in commissions, um, closing costs on the front end. Forget about your holding costs right now, but closing costs on the front end. If you're in the city of Pittsburgh, we have over 5% transfer tax right now. So you have your transfer tax on the front end, sometimes split between the buyer and seller, although I don't agree with it, but it's becoming more customary for the buyer to pay closing costs. And then, on the back end, you have transfer tax again. Then you have your commission. So, I mean, that adds up real quick, and that takes away, from your profit, from your margins, and, adds to the cost of doing business. So, if you're going to constantly do transactional type investing, flipping, wholesaling, whatever, there's big cost associated with that. However, if you're looking at a long-term, building a long-term portfolio, like we do, just buy a bunch of single family homes, or maybe like apartment buildings, multi-units, whatever, commercial, you don't have to, you're not really accounting for that transactional cost on the back end, because you're going to keep it. So there's additional 10% right there. Not to mention the fact that, over time, you have capital growth, you have appreciation, more equity building up. You got your cash flow over time. You have your tax benefits. Tax benefits are huge in real estate. Even though we make money when we invest in real estate, if you're investing properly, you should be cash flowing. We get to take depreciation. We get to take expenses against our portfolio, which helps to offset some of that income. So it's nice. There's tax benefits with real estate, but if you're just constantly flipping, whatever those terms were, wholetailing, novating, prehab, whatever. If you're just constantly flipping, constantly turning, you're not truly investing in real estate. You're not building something. You're not building a portfolio. You're not building, you're not building, long-term wealth, long-term cash flow. You're flipping. You're, if you're leaving your job to go invest in real estate, you're trading your job for another job. How do I know that? Because I did it. I did it for a long time. And it's work. Sure, you can have a team, you can have your systems, you can have things like that. But, if you want to be, in my opinion, if you want to be truly successful in real estate, if you want to build something of real value in real estate, you got to look at long-term investing. That maybe that's not your entire portfolio, but that needs to be a part of your portfolio for sure. But again, as far as the new trendy ways to invest in real estate, just be careful, be cautious. Always be cautious of who you're learning from, who you're dealing with, regardless of what business you're in, or what strategy, what method you're learning. Just be cautious. And this will be the last time I say this, but truly understand that. If you're going to invest in real estate, if you're going to start a real estate investment company, real estate investment business, whatever, you must understand market cycles, market conditions, and be sure that that your model, your strategy is designed to perform regardless of market conditions, or two, that you have the ability to weather a storm, that you have the ability to carry your business, your company through a down market, through a downturn, through a, potential recession, anything like that. So you have to understand that those down markets, they're not a week long, they're not 2 weeks long, they're not 30 days. When we go into a down market, growth, prosperity, recession, depression, when we go into the down market, that could be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. By the time we get through the the cycle and head back up into growth and prosperity. So you need to be sure that your method, your strategy, that you have a way to weather the storm. And a lot of times the way to weather that storm is having the portfolio, having the cash flow from the long-term portfolio. So if you want to flip, if you want to do new construction, you want to do infill new construction or land development, no problem. There's money to be made in those strategies, but just understand that there's no crystal ball and there's no way to predict when a market is going to change or when we're going to head into a down market. So just be prepared and understand that you need to be able to weather that storm with your business as a whole. So that's it. That's what I have for today. I just I felt the need to talk about that, talk about the different ways to invest in real estate, and give a little feedback, thoughts, and opinions on the quote unquote new ways to invest in real estate. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I'm not asking for anything in return here. I do this podcast, do this recording for you guys in hopes that you'll find some benefit from the messages that I deliver. And all that I ask in return is that, if you find value in my messages, my recordings, share it with somebody, share it on social media, take the link, send it to a friend, whatever. I think there's, if you're on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you can follow, you can subscribe. So go ahead and do that, and you'll get notifications. We're trying to do a new recording once a week here. So stay tuned in, and thank you guys so much for listening and taking the time to tune in here. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen. So thank you and have a great day.